Good evening and welcome back to another edition of Beyond the Backstage Pass. I'm your host, Vince Edwards. You may know me from Sound Image Productions, and I'm all tooling around on Facebook with a couple close roadie Facebook groups, one called Death by Loadout and another one called the Backstage Pass. Come and check us out. We're like getting up to some shit. Tonight, off to my right, I have my good friend and co-host, Kyle Thomas. How you doing, brother?
Not too bad, man. How about yourself? What have you been up to?
Well, let's see. I've been sleeping a little more than usual.
I know, you look rested.
I have trouble with my sleeping, and so when I can get extra sleep, it's good. I'm not paying attention to the election because, fuck that.
Too much stress.
Not really. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's like my checking the weather. It doesn't change the weather.
You got it.
I've always got a jacket, so I mean.
I feel like it's so overwhelming every time we talk about it. It's like, we'll just wait for it to be over. We'll see what we do next.
It's just, you got to devise your strategy going forward when all the information's in. So until that, whatever. Other than that, we're still tooling up super hard. Lots of artists confirming. I wouldn't say lots, but a batch of artists are confirming for the Big Love benefit concert.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Super excited about. Actually, our guest tonight has been providing all this ambiance, and these dressing rooms were staged up all over the building in our prep bays. I think we got 5 or 6 dressing rooms in the.
She did a great job.
Well, I know. We're going to talk more about it on the show, but this is a very different spot than normal.
Well, yeah, I know, right?
Drape everywhere,
we're drifting,
and staging and platforms and all kinds of fun.
It looks pretty fancy.
It is kind of fancy, yeah, and that's a little outside my wheelhouse. So it's why we have other people that understand.
Well, see, this is why you got to get a new shirt. If you notice Vinny's new shirt, this thing is lovely, but you really dressed yourself up now, man.
I'm super pretty. I was already pretty damn pretty, but now I'm super pretty.
Now there's 2 of you when I look at you. Well, 3 technically.
Don't get me started.
There's layers.
Don't get me started. I'm a total egomaniac. I got a problem here. A little bit of a narcissist.
Hey, so I gotta say,
tell me the story.
Loving Hands for Stagehands came by earlier on this week. Bob and John, I think were the only 2 people that came out.
Wasn't Gordon here too? I thought
Gordon
was
here. That's right, Gordon was here too.
And my brother George.
George obviously headed the whole thing, which is really nice to hear the conversations going.
Careful. I would say that they are a group of administrators for this page that are equal to each other.
Oh yes.
There's nobody heading shit. This just happens to be the meeting place, but my brother and those guys all came up with it and administered it. It's a tricky page. It's not like my roadie pages where I spend a couple hours a day just pulling down stupid shit and musician memes and shit that has nothing to do with being a roadie. Right. Strange, weird shit. But his is, you got to be really careful about what he allows on the page because, it's a place for people to trying to maybe be a little more serious about the feelings they're having during this bizarre time and trying to be a roadie. And I find their mission important but difficult. And so I don't envy the place they hold with that. And I know they take a great deal of concern and understand there's a responsibility to handle that page in a specific way.
They do, and it really puts the energy out there of this very positive, very just like a safety rigger would be, or something like that. Very all lanes assessed.
Well, and as riggers go, and we're talking about Bob Powers here, he's one of the best in the industry. I mean, the guy is world renowned, but that's one of the things that makes him one of the best. Is he is all about like perfection, safety first, caution. Yeah. He got into the business, he was telling me, because he was, as a standard early days stagehand, he was watching, shackles and pins and shit dropping out of there. And it's like, what are they doing? And I can do it better. And that's his exact words. And I think that's how he's operated in his whole life. Being that, being a rigger and the responsibilities they carry in that job are serious and people could die.
Right.
To a lesser degree, but with similar kind of implications is how that page is in my mind, and that needs to be. And so it's in good hands.
It's nice it's tied into the Big Love benefit,
Well, there is a linkage to that.
Big Love Army, Sweet Relief, Project Resiliency, and Raven Drum Foundation all tag teamed with them and are now part of the benefit, which is just a beautiful merriment of 2 really good, solid, foundational ideas that I think should be expanded on and hopefully generate some money through. So
I think both things are going to happen, and I know that the Big Love Army is actually a new page. That's Rick Allen from Def Leppard, the drummer, and his lovely, lovely wife Lauren Monroe Allen have made that page. and it's for a very similar thing, but it's mostly just to spread positive information, thoughts, memes, whatever. And so it's a great little page. Go check it out. They're the administrators of that. I think them and another take care of that page. It's a new one, but they're growing fast, and they've got a lot of positive, cool shit on there.
Totally. Yeah, we got a package in too. I don't know if you saw this thing.
Dude, I saw it. I got it.
See how nice
we
this
get
guy
a lot of
is?
stuff in here, which is it's fun. But this is from Rizzo
let me grab
Pacific
this
Staging. Some guys out of Hawaii.
Check
And
the shirt
Frank
out,
Rizzo
man.
runs that joint. Frank, we got this, and we love it, man. You very, very cool. I'm going to add that into the black T-shirt Sleep at Night collection. Very, very cool, brother.
Very sweet of you.
Yeah, he sent us some of the company pins, but I thought
Yeah,
he
we
had
got
really
some
cool
pins.
mugs. Check these mugs out.
Look
You
at
got a
this mug out.
Show them the mugs. Yeah,
Look
Frank,
at that mug.
it's a cool mug, buddy.
That's a nice mug.
Yeah, you did good, pal. We appreciate it. I just got this boring little back. Yeah.
And you know what? I gotta
It
say,
made me feel bad about my mug.
a name like Frank Rizzo's got to speak volumes right there. So.
Yeah.
Seriously, thank you.
He's mobbed up. That's the only way to do it, Frank. But thank you, my friend. We got a big fat box coming out for you. It'll take a minute to get over across the Pacific, but it's coming. We appreciate you guys. Any other news, buddy? I know you were out busy keeping your fingers sticky, keeping to work and stuff.
Yeah, just staying busy. I'm just starting to anchor down now, getting this Monitor World all assembled and everything else for the Big Love event coming up. So just been putting some time to that. Hopefully tomorrow we'll get a full monitor package set up with all the wireless and implement that whole thing. So
Is
should be good.
that for tomorrow? I thought we were doing that Monday. I thought
Well,
tomorrow
you know
we're
how I
gonna.
am. I like to be a couple days.
You're
ahead of
usually in front of the
schedule.
8-ball on shit. I thought tomorrow we were gonna have Gallagher Staging and Stuart Tenting or somebody. I might have screwed up that last one. Coming in, and I was gonna lay out for the gear tents, the kitchen tent, I guess there's a catering tent, all going in our back space, and so we got to lay it all out. That's the marching orders I'm working from, but good.
We'll see what
Did
I
that
get to.
already. I think you got to move Winston, who's over there right now. Winston Dama, and his good brother Chris is over there playing with the Pro Tools rig, and I think he's doing virtual sound checks or something. And
He sure is, yeah.
yeah, he's
Killing it.
Winston, man. Swear to God. All right, listen, we're glad you guys tuned in tonight. We got a super wonderful guest. I want to just quick shout out to it looks like Susie Dugan, and Scott Chaney, and other Pat O'Doul. Pat. It's good to see all you guys. Thank you for coming out. We have a wonderful, wonderful woman. Now, you know the show's goal. The mission here at the show is that we're trying to. I want to put a light during this bizarre-ass time on the different disciplines and departments that take to put on a big-ass show. It's obvious we got sound guys and lighting guys. That's the ones that nobody really forgets about. But you have your video guys. It goes across the board. There's so many disciplines. We had a catering in here.
Everybody.
Yeah, but right?
This is a good transition. You got to see this side of the industry. It's
Yeah.
so important.
Like this is some cool shit, and we're dealing with it right here in our house right now for this benefit work because we're a bunch of VIPs and rock stars in here, and we want them to feel comfortable and like they would if they were doing any other show. And the way we get that done is we have friends who do this work and have. Apparently, there's a difference between being able to turn knobs on the technical side and being creative, imaginative, and understanding what beautiful is. That's what our guest does tonight. She does this from opera to the Bonnaroo festivals to big ass trade, corporate clients like Google, and it's a big name. You put it there, Apple. To Metallica, she's designed some of the coolest behind the scenes setups on the planet. We're going to show you some examples tonight. She's really fascinating. She's a lovely woman. We're lucky to have her. It's our wonderful guest, Jacque Crosetti. How are you, my dear?
I'm great, thank you.
It's so good to have you on this show. How have you been handling this whole? First of all, you look wonderful.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you coming in. How have you been handling this whole last 9 months? It's been tricky. I know you'd be normally busy like crazy right now.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that, if it wasn't for the pandemic, right now we'd be gearing up for another show and doing maybe 3 yesterday and 4 more next week. And isn't that weird? Because if we get one now, we're like, oh,
So cool.
you got something to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a huge difference. It's interesting, like Facebook reminders, about what happened last year at this time. You're just like, oh
The
my
memories, the memory
God,
Facebook.
the
Yeah,
memories.
they've been getting me too. Yeah.
But pivot became the common household word. how are we going to pivot? How are you going to become essential? One of the first things I heard is this thing may attack your immunity, and so it was like, well, okay, we got to get healthy. We have to pivot. We have to become essential, and we have to stay open. It was really hard to think of closing when we've always been the company and the industry that supports so many other industries, you know.
Right.
When there's fires happening here in California, we have benefit shows,
That's
you know,
right.
and somebody needs money, we make concerts. Concerts bring money, you know, the benefit for Seva, we've done that for so many years, all these different shows. And so to think we're not essential was pretty hard.
Well, yeah,
But whatever. Pivoting again was the word,
Yeah.
and switching it into something that we could do.
fantastic. I didn't think you'd be sitting at home eating bonbons.
No.
not
I
your
probably
style.
ate some Twix though.
Those,
You know.
those things are, you know, they really, yeah, I get it with the Twix. I have to walk far around them over there in craft services. They are dangerous.
They're right by the door.
Can you do me a favor? And because I can't articulate it properly, I wouldn't do it justice. Can you articulate for my audience what it is in your elevator speech for what you do? How would you describe it?
Well, Sweet Treatments is the name of my company, and we are an event design company. So we design spaces and what places look like. We started in the music industry for dressing rooms and backstage environments, and we still would do, you know, up until the day we quit or we closed. That turned into design and fabrication for corporate events and sponsorship. As we know, sponsorship in the last 10 years has taken over a lot of our industry, and also with Instagrammable moments, photo ops, making cool things for people to take their picture. That's what we've been doing the last 4 years a lot on top of everything else. So we've grown up over the spectrum. You know, we fabricate a lot of things. I make charging stations, you know, because I notice at events people need to charge their phone. That's been the case since the first BlackBerry ever. And so, yeah, we've always grown. It's with artists. We work with a lot of artists that like to showcase their work, and I like to show them how they can make money doing that.
Perfect.
Pretty much.
I know much. I have a better handle on it now. I mean, I've walked through it. I've been around it through many years with you, but I never, I didn't have the words. Can you talk to us about your involvement? We mentioned it a minute ago about the Big Love benefit concert we're doing. Well, it turns out you've been a huge part of that. And what is it you?
I want to help raise money for our local, all of our local people. You know, I grew up here, my 20 plus years in the Bay Area. Every venue I've ever worked, my brothers and sisters right now can't work, and I really want to do whatever I can to help them. The last 6 months, I've been donating a lot of my time to anybody I can help, but this is extremely special, and it's very personal. I have a lot of friends who are affected, and I want to do what I can. So what I can do is set up the dressing rooms, make sure there's seating for VIPs and anything else that they need.
You brought in lights and all kinds of mirrors and wonderful stuff. And I think you threatened to bring some plants from your nursery.
I'm bringing
in.
more. Yes,
Yeah.
there'll be another round, round
Yeah.
3.
It's gonna be 2 ferns and vents pretty soon.
Plants, you know,
We're
plants
changing
are
time.
plants are a big part of it. That's how I started my whole business with plants.
Yeah.
And hence we brought one here.
No, we whipped that one out special for you because it's super. Like every time we see it, we're amazed it's alive and doing so well.
You guys are doing good.
It's me.
Don't let
I'm
him
the only
kid.
one who waters
It
it.
looks
He
very
waters it
good.
every
Yeah,
single day. He'll
yeah,
go
yeah.
around and collect all the water bottles around the shop.
That
That's
is
what I do.
excellent
I
idea.
reuse. Yeah.
Yes.
These guys drive me crazy with the half bottles of water everywhere. Talk to me about. I know you work with a lot of big stars, big rock stars, and others, not just rock stars. We'll get into that. But I know you got a call. Maybe not a strange call for your business, but you got a call from Snoop Dogg's people saying last minute he needed a little help making some kind of something.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
You know, I get to work with Joe Battle at Live Nation, right? So that's kind of fun. He's a creative guy who wants to make sure that his artists get a little something extra.
Yeah.
And Snoop Dogg was playing 420 at Oakland Arena, which is my favorite venue. I got to admit, I just love that venue.
A lot of shows there.
And my business is really close by, so we can walk there if we needed to. I wouldn't want to, but you could. Anyway.
That's another show.
He wanted to give him something extra for the stage, and I wanted to give him a photo op in his dressing room, and so we made this really giant marijuana bud It's like 7 feet tall, and you could put your head in it. There you go. It's a nice picture. And then
awesome.
the marijuana leaves that light up, I made those for the stage. So those went out on the stage, and those things are so fun. We love doing stuff like that. It's really fun.
Super clever, very clever. I mentioned on the intro that you, again, and just a minute ago, alluded to the fact that you don't just do rock stars, you don't just do big festivals, and we'll talk about that, but you do folks like politicians and Oprah. I know Oprah came in recently. It was relatively recently.
It was. She was doing her 2020 Vision Tour, which I thought, I wanted that hashtag 2020 Vision. In 2019, I thought 2020 is going to be the most clever year. We're all going to be healthier. Everything's going to be great. She took that hashtag, which she's a little bit bigger than I am, so, let her have that.
She bullied it away from me.
She had Kate Hudson was her guest for that show in San Francisco, and so I got to do both their rooms, and they had a great photo op in there later, and it was just really lovely. So yeah, she's got a high stature. You have to do things really well.
Well, my question is how do you decide what's the process? You imagine, you have a kind of, you make drawings and you decide we're going to take this stock and that stock and we're going to, because I saw what you had done. It was beautiful. It was all kind of a white theme of nice fabrics and plants and
wonderful people like a Beyonce or an Oprah or Michelle Obama. They all want, a clean, crisp, clear. I think of it as a really high-end suite in a hotel. That's what you're trying to create.
Sure.
Just something easy that they're used to, that they can just glide in. And really the space that we create is a calm environment for people to focus on what they need to do before they go perform. And I believe it's quite nerve-wracking to perform in front of thousands of people and to center themselves and get it. It's probably not very hard for Oprah, but for a lot of musicians, I've been told this is a very important part, to create that space for them that's really relaxing.
Yeah, and you do a hell of a job. You make some amazing spaces. We're going to feature them through the show. They'll pop up on the screen. You recently moved to a new location. And I know that you kind of reconfigured the business. And you mentioned before that you started with plants, because plants are new plants. Turns out there's actually some good money in that. I don't think a lot of people know that.
No, and I remember when I first heard, I was a runner at Bill Graham Presents, and so that's the bottom rung kind of, I mean, that's how you start in the business, or you decide to stay there, because sometimes that can be a career option. But I overheard them say that Mariah Carey wanted a plant in her dressing room, a couple palm trees, And I asked, how much do you pay for that? And they were like, $600. And I was like, oh, that's more than my paycheck. Can I just rent you plants? And they said, sure. And I was like, I'll be right back.
Yeah.
And I had a pickup truck, and I used to put plywood on the sides, and so the palm trees didn't get thwacked, and people thought I was picking up recycling. But so I would be a runner, I would deliver plants, and then I started doing so many more things. I became the runner trainer and hiring. I did non-union labor hiring, and it was great. It was such a great thing. But the plants started in 1999, and by 2004, I could leave my day job and just rent plants.
Wow.
And
that's great.
Started Sweet Treatments.
That is really great. What a great story. Like I mentioned before, you do a lot of the big festivals, and I know you have history with Bonnaroo. Now, that's one of the bigger festivals for sure.
For sure.
What is it like providing ambiance to Bonnaroo? I mean, are we talking all 70 artists? What are we talking here?
Well, Bonnaroo is pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I remember 2005 is when I got the call to go down. They had started a couple years. The promoters were geniuses for picking this land and dividing and making this amazing space. And then they brought some heavy hitters from the Bay Area to help operate the place and make sure it's safe. 100,000 kids showing up in the middle of Tennessee, building a whole city and doing it properly so that nobody's injured is such an important thing.
Yes, quite a feat.
And so they went to Bill Graham Presents and went to some of the senior people and said, we're bringing you in and taking over. And after they did that, then the second year they said, you don't do anything backstage. They had blank tents with a table with no linen serving beer with a work light, you know, and Steve Fiener was like, oh, just let Jackie come with some Twinkie lights and Velon and you'll change their lives.
That's right.
And that's how it started. It was very low pay, very hard work, very biggest site I've ever seen in my life. And
Huge.
it took me 30 days to do my job. I didn't even get to the last dressing room. So there's probably one dressing room my first year that had nothing in it. I never even made it there. But then we got better at it. We got really good. We did it all 15 years. And wow, did it grow, because, you know, sponsorship took over in the middle of that.
Huge festival. If people don't know, that is a
We
massive
learned
show.
a lot. And I feel that that has given me the ability to do so much more.
Yeah.
You know.
You're kind of unstoppable, buddy. When I was taking notes with you when we had our last meeting, I noticed it last night when I was writing this show. At the very bottom of the page, I wrote "badass." I just thought it was funny. I know you're big on the benefits of wellness, yoga, meditation, these things. Talk to us about
Yes. Well, I would love to.
how these affect your life.
You mentioned you have a hard time sleeping.
I
think
for
there's
many years.
some positions you could do and things you could do that might help with that. One thing I've done most of my life is regular yoga that you could probably down dog and all that stuff. But since COVID, I have gotten into Kundalini yoga, which is very specific to the spine and the nervous system.
Yes.
And it speaks to me in a way that I just can't stop it. So I'm on that train right now. I'm going through teacher training so I can teach others.
Wow.
I thought about this to explain, like, to roadies. It's kind of like when you cable your biggest show, and it's so important that they're straight and that they're in their places and that you guys make them look so beautiful. But imagine if they got kinked up, you know, and how would your show come across and how would your sound and lights work? So our bodies are just about the same thing, and we need to unkink all the nerve endings. And
Sure. That's
it's
a good
just
analogy.
wonderful. So I've been calmer, more relaxed, lost some weight, feeling great. I want to share it. It's wonderful.
I'm glad to hear that for you, and I think we could all probably take a page from that plan you're on. I know my wife is when we first started together that she was big taking those classes and got a lot out of it.
It's great.
Yeah, she liked it a lot as well. I know you went out on tour with the great Mumford and Sons, and that is they're a unique band. They have a lot going on, and I know you had some interesting times with them. Talk to us about it.
You know, I think it was 2013, and that was like my favorite album that they made too. So it was really fun for me. I enjoyed their music, like boot stomping, and it was fun. And it was an interesting tour because they paid for their own tour called Gentlemen of the Road. They would only do 4 or 5 stops while they were on tour doing their regular shows. So maybe they do 3 or 4 regular show festival sites, and then they would stop and do a Gentleman of the Road, which was produced by themselves.
Yeah.
It was amazing. And they would choose a small town that had no money. They would play in their high school football field.
Yeah.
They would bring a parade, and they would do all this stuff for the town. It was just phenomenal. It was really cool to be part of that.
Yeah, I know you enjoyed it a lot. Tell me about the time. Give me the story about how you created Smell-O-Vision from Prince. Now, we all, on this show, we've had a few people that have had history with Prince. I've had history with Prince. He was very, very specific, very unique, extraordinarily talented guy. But he used to be a little demanding. He had certain ideas about things. Tell us about your interaction with Prince.
This one's kind of funny. We have had the pleasure of working with Prince many times. And it's always been a pleasure because our part's really in and out without much hassle. But in 2016, he came to Oakland and played the Paramount on a Sunday, I believe. And it was a very last minute thing, and it was thrown together super quick. It was like we were informed Friday, and we did it on Sunday. And his writer was super specific, as usual, but it was, there's some things with scents, like he really wanted a good scent in the place with candles, and it was really high on the list. It was a big priority.
Sure.
Okay. So we pulled it off. Everything went well. Closed the show. The next day I flew to Florida to do a festival, Okeechobee. And on Tuesday I got a call saying he booked the Oakland Arena for Friday. Sold out already. We need you to come back now. And this is a high priority. And I've never heard anybody, at spare no expense. Mm-hmm. You're coming to help Prince. And it was the promoter saying that from everything from the dressing room inward. And then the venue called and said, I want you to handle everything from the dressing room outward.
Wow.
So all the way going to the stage, including the stage.
Sure.
And so it was a lot. We bought a lot of purple that week. We did it fast.
I bet
We
you
bought
did.
a lot of the candles, learned all about them.
Yeah.
And so, show day. His assistant comes out with the candle and says, I'd like to put this in the ducting system for the venue because we want the whole venue to smell like his candle. Prince has
Right.
decided that he doesn't want to come out
No.
without the venue smelling like his candle.
Prince.
And everybody in the room just sort of walked away, from this woman. Yeah. And she was dead set on it. I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it. So it's one of those moments in this industry where we all learn so well is to come up with a solution quick.
That's right.
Something that just happened is now changed your day. And you need to solve this. Mm-hmm. So I remembered in Oakland Paramount, he had a smoke machine right before he came out. It was just him and his piano and a microphone. So he comes out by himself through the smoke. So I was desperately looking for the person in charge of the smoke machines and asked them if I could find the liquid form of the candle within an hour and a half. Would you be able to put it in the machine for me and see if it would work? Everybody was happy to try that. I convinced them it was cheaper than ruining the venue's air duct system and possibly burning down the building.
There was that, yeah.
And I had to have somebody dash across the Bay Bridge really quick, go buy $700 worth of this stuff, and it worked. I mean, it worked. Later, the vendor asked what I did so that they could offer that as a service. In the future, I thought that was pretty neat. But we called it Smell-O-Vision, and it was really, I thought it was cute. That's a whole historic show, you have to say, because that is his last arena show ever. Yeah. And out of all the shows he's done, yes, you always want to take care of him, but nobody's ever said spare no expense. I think it was almost as if someone knew, and we all made really, really big strides for that show.
Well, I feel like with Prince, that was always the way we came at it, and the people my friends, that when we talked about it, you always kind of go, there's certain... We always bring 100%, but there's some where they push you into this extra, little extra bit.
That 150.
Yeah, and Prince was always one of those artists, and it was important to bring your A game if you wanted to have another dance, So very clever. I wanted to ask you about Big Daddy. I need you on the show. Tell here. You make these wonderful charging stations. I know there's a reason you came up with them. They're very, very clever.
This one ended up on my stage.
This was at the Emerald Cup. He was a monitor guy at Emerald Cup last year.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, and you gave that to us, and you make these very clever little charging. So it's got it's got the USB, the Apple, the USB-C,
nice.
the USB, Mini on there. It covers a lot of bases. It's super cute. And this is a gift you gave to us. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome.
You come up with some really clever ones. I think you got one for my brother that's like it looks like an old school welding torch on a cigar box, and he loves that thing. What was the inspiration behind that?
Well, this is I love this because it was Bonnaroo 2007. I just got used to making Backstage really cool. We've got now more than Twinkie lights and Velon. We've got power using lights and things and a little projection and. We really upped our game. But when I came back there one day, everything was off. Everything was down. Nobody cared. I'm just drinking, having fun anyway, because it's daylight. But I was hunting, figuring out how did this happen. And it was a BlackBerry. Somebody just unplugged the whole tent, plugged in their BlackBerry. And I was like, oh boy, this person's gonna have a hard time getting their phone back. No, I'm kidding. But I wanted to solve that problem. I could see it coming. There's gonna be more of these, right? I had no idea the wave that we would get, but was smart enough to say next year we're gonna I think the first year was just arrows to a power strip. And then, it became, let's make something more attractive. Let's get them throughout the room. Let's put them in coffee tables. Let's put them at end tables. That whole debacle with the cord and just, it's been a thing. Like, I have a lot of attention span for small things, I guess. And this was a big deal to me, not to that many people, but when they want to rent them, it's a great deal.
Well,
and those were made for Salesforce, for Dreamforce. We made over 150 of them.
Wow.
We deliver them all over San Francisco in one day. And, some buildings get a box of 20, some buildings get a box of 5. It depends on where they're going. And that taught me that, I was onto something there. But I really love to take old found objects, like old instruments that don't work anymore, an old fire extinguisher for the firehouse. Like, cigar boxes were the easiest because we just talked about that. It's they're basically free as a vessel. But creating different vessels, a lamp out of a instrument with a charging station. I could go on and on, but I just love it. I love, it solves a bunch of problems. We can charge your stuff, we take a little bit out of the waste, and it looks interesting. And it's what do you call it? It's like a talking subject thing.
Yeah. No, it's very, very clever. And it like you said, some of the best things solve problems at the same time.
We got to solve problems.
And the way you do that is by being creative and making it kind of look good. And it's an elegant solution. Very good. We deal with this at front of house in different parts of our, in our world, where folks coming up, asking us to play a song for them or change the color, or can they charge their phones, and of course we yell at them and to leave us alone because the answer is no.
They'll look anywhere to charge their phone, right?
Yeah. But that maybe make it so we don't have to be as mean. Mostly you getting a lot of reports out there. But
I'm not guilty of that.
You could be nicer to the customers. It's the sweetest guy. Working. I'm not sure the world knows this. We all know this. But here in the Bay Area, we have a couple really outstanding festivals. Hardly Strictly, massive, up to 250,000 people over a weekend. And
it's free for everybody.
Yeah. A billionaire
they
left some money.
They have a bunch of stages everywhere.
7 stages, and
it's so nice.
Some of the most eclectic, coolest shows I've ever done.
I like the time of year, too. It's not as cold as Outside Lands.
Yes.
August, freezing.
But that's what I was going to bring up was
October,
Outside
nice.
Lands, which is our rock and roll one. It's about 95 to 108,000 people on that sucker.
It's big.
I think last year was The Who and Metallica headline. Or is that the year? I don't know. I lose track.
I get them all
things.
mixed up too because it's just too many.
Yeah. There's another 7 stages, 2 really main big stages, big giant show. I know you do the ambiance for that. What's that like?
Well, actually, Another Planet has Judy Heyman, who's awesome. So she does like what I would normally do at Bonnaroo, she does there.
Okay.
And that's given me the opportunity to work more with the sponsorship teams and doing more of that creative branded things, which is strange, but I seem to be good at that as well. I mean, I like doing it, and people have asked me for so long, starting at Bonnaroo, when they didn't even understand a marketing tent, and how are we going to get people in, keep their attention, get them to remember your brand and leave.
Right.
Learn something, do something memorable, because they have all these options now, right?
Yeah.
As they cruise through, there's so much eye candy everywhere, so many things to do.
Yeah.
So you have to make it look attractive, be educational, learn something, and remember that brand. So Outside Lands gives me a lot of opportunity for that. Also, we do a big ceiling treatment that you would think isn't the biggest thing in the world, but it is, because it's their comedy tent, which is gigantic. Every year it grows. That program is so well done there. And it's called the Barbary tent. And now we do the walls and the ceiling, which it's a big job.
I bet it is.
It's a big job.
Yeah, I know last year's tent was massive, and it was you did a great job.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was
I love
absolutely
it.
fantastic.
The team does a great job when they do. I know how to do it. They've been doing it every year, and it's great.
And plus, you're out there in a big, giant rock festival with some of the world's best rock bands and some of the coolest fans. And you got to admit, in the Bay Area.
Oh, they did Grasslands lately?
Yeah.
So that's another area I get to work.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love that.
It's so cool.
It's great.
Yeah.
Working with those vendors, and they have creativity, and they want things too. So specifically making things for their brands. It's a great show. I love that show.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite festivals in the whole world. Talk to us about your efforts with 19 Crimes Wine. I hear they got an award.
Yeah, that was a really fun one at Outside Lands because it was last minute. They just made this deal at the last second. 19 Crimes is about, it's a great story, and they wanted something very visual. And so we took a 30 by 30 tent and made a prison that you walk into to get arrested because you're going to go on this boat and you're going to go to Australia and you're now an Australian because you were a prisoner in London.
Right.
So anyway, it's got this crazy story. But then when you turn the corner after getting your mugshot taken, you are now in the ship part of the tent where you can get augmented reality, virtual reality. You could try the wine and you could see the labels would come alive and all these weird things. But you were inside a ship. It did win an award, and it was listed as one of the top things to do for Outside Lands that year. So, and we did it in 2 weeks. It was crazy. That was crazy. On top of everything else, which was really funny. You'll see me like deliver the most odd things. I might bring picket fencing for the Pee Wee golf thing. I might do a ceiling treatment or 10 in one area, and I might go do something in Grasslands and do a couple vendors up there. So we did they have those nice VIP decks up on top. Occasionally we'll do one of those. But that festival has so much great decor. It is an inspiration to me, all the vendors that come there. It's amazing. Yeah. It's like Disneyland.
It's
it
for
really
a person like you,
is.
it definitely is. But
I know I probably notice a lot more than most, but I notice how much effort gets put in, and I know that's why they're successful. It's a psychology. That's why you can see all their facades are unique, all their decor is so cool, the lighting's amazing.
I feel like it's more than an event; it's more of an experience.
It is definitely an experience.
And if you're involved in the building out, like what you do, or when we bring stacks and racks, so we're there before you. It's a real investment from the people that bring it and put it on. And
I really hope it comes back soon.
Yeah, and plus it's one of our big guys, and so we want it to shine.
It's right here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, yeah.
Nobody realizes you got to go to Golden Gate Park with your beanie and your scarf and your gloves and your
snuggle up.
Thick pants and your boots because it's freezing.
It typically is a little nippy
when you set it up, but it's fun.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong. Tell me, what kind of setup did you come up with the Metallica show? You did the big Metallica show in Vegas. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I forgot there was it was kind of like an EDM setup, but it was done with rock shows, and it was in the parking lot of Circus, and we did giant ceiling treatment, a lot of decor. That was really great, and I like to see those two marry together because a lot of decor is coming from that EDM family, and I'm from the Day of the Green shows back in the day in the 70s and 80s, and we had backdrops and scaffolding that were covered, and we thought that was so cool, and it was so cool. And now when you see what EDM's doing for big stages, I get a little jealous.
They don't mess around.
They really mess around. They have this one little DJ, in this 200-foot wide stage. And so anyway, it was like that decor with, I believe Metallica played that show, yeah. It was like a good rock show.
I dug that one deep out of your history.
That was deep.
Yeah. I know you do a lot of design and fabrication. You mentioned your fabrication part of your business for large corporations. I think most of our audience are pretty tuned into what we do because we have such a select audience. Mostly us. It's people like us.
Yeah.
So they would understand that most sound companies, lighting companies, decor companies work for a lot of large corporations, the Googles, the Apples.
We're so
and
lucky to
Twitters.
live here in the Bay Area.
We really have an access to this other vertical market of income that still allows us to do what we do, but with a slightly more rules attached, but they're very demanding clients. I mean, extraordinarily demanding client, but we're happy to have the work. What types of things have you created for the folks like Twitter and Google and Apple?
Well, interestingly enough, I agree with everything you just said, I'd say, but when you do a Kanye show, that's pretty specific.
Yeah, he's
very
in the Prince
comparable to the
category of
Apple and the Googles.
Rules and hurdles and
it's like,
things to jump
we want to
over.
see a corner before, and then what's the other corner look like? People do get specific. But I'm okay with that because I don't mind, so I'll adjust to anything that they need. Fabrication's fun. People started going to places like Color Factory, Museum of Ice Cream, the One Dome, these little pop-up shops in San Francisco where they'd pay about $40 and go in for an experience for about an hour and a half where they could take their photo ops with a giant unicorn or whatever it was, things made out of candy, and ribbon walls. And then they'd go back to their corporate offices and say, oh my God, I just jumped in a ball pit. It was so fun. Can we do that for our holiday party? So this money totally came from people saying, hey, we need a ball pit now because we saw it over there. So I started recreating the same experiences that they had just had with a slight twist. And now my warehouse is full of that stuff. I have everything for an immersive experience. And guess what? Immersive experiences aren't happening right now because you can't touch anything or go anywhere. So, you know, so we've just made so many things for every company, it seems, down here, or at least all the social media names I know. And it was a lot of fun. I had a great team, and I look forward to doing stuff like that again. For sure, it'll come back.
Yeah, sounds fun. You mentioned you did the Okeechobee Festival.
Yes.
That's a special one.
Okeechobee was really fun. They had me come out for one little area that was special to artists and VIPs that are owners, you know, the people who work there. And I went all the way to Florida into the swamp just to do this really cool one area. But as I say, I got pulled away for Prince, so I let my team finish it. They did a great job.
That was that one.
And yeah, these festivals are fun.
Yeah, that one's a very unique festival. Like you said, it's in the western part of Florida.
I like that area.
It's
I mean,
beautiful.
it's strange, but I love it.
You know, it depends on the time of year. It can be very sticky and you know, weather-wise. But yeah, it's a very specific group of folks and a very unique one.
I did Langerado in 2008. That was in the Cypress location. That was one of my favorite places. That was very spiritual, very cool down there. Beastie Boys played. It was awesome.
Beastie Boys at the Spiritual Festival. I wonder how they handled that with Sabotage. Sabotage! You know that.
They're awesome.
I love those guys.
Yeah.
So crazy. Word on the street. You've got a sizable collection of dressing room trailer keys. What's that about?
Oh, yeah.
Just running around stealing people's keys.
Gosh, you know, it's because I really went so green. Like, I didn't want to throw anything away, and I'm a big recycler. So to do a festival-size job in all those trailers for dressing rooms, you end up with keys. Like, you have to have 3 different sets, too, because you can't be the only one with the keys. So you have to have 2 other people with the keys. And you probably have at least 30 keys, you know, for all these trailers with several doors. So it's a lot. So they all get labeled. You know what they all are. You live with these things for a couple of weeks. And then they say to throw them away because they rekey it every single time.
Sure.
And I was like, no, we'll just keep those. I don't know what for. But after 15 years, I have so many keys. It's ridiculous. So I thought I'd make a giant chandelier and maybe auction it off for charity and let, you know, they all open doors for rock stars. You know, that's what these keys are for.
That's pretty cool.
So maybe, hopefully we'll see how that pulls off. But yeah, that's a big project we're working on. It's a lot of keys.
Yeah, it would have to be.
It'll probably be like a cool design too, to just make it look like, what is that?
Yeah, no, I can't imagine you doing it any other way. I know one of the big nights of the year for you, and you've done many of them, is New Year's Eve. What's the special trick to?
Oh my gosh, I've been so lucky. Okay,
like
so
20 plus of them, huh?
Yes, New Year's in the Bay Area used to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm sure it still is. But back in the day, you know, Bill Graham used to do his big midnight moments and with the Grateful Dead, and that tradition tried to carry on as the years as he passed and the Grateful Dead isn't happening. And there's venues that really care, like the Fillmore and the Warfield. They always wanted to have something special happen at midnight, and so I started doing those with Michael Bailey at the Fillmore, and they grew and changed, and we'd work with the bands and figure out what do they want to do. There'd always have to be like a change set. So right before midnight, it goes dark, they take a break, everybody goes and gets their drinks, and then, you know, you come back to the midnight moment,
right,
and there should be a parade, or somebody flies to the sky, or pops through this, or, you know, and I learned about, you know, calling a show and actually calling what's going to happen. It was so fun. And those were great. You know, they're all unique and different, and the Warfield and the Fillmore were my favorite. In 2008, a new promoter started running the Warfield, and things really changed, you know? And also bands, I think, aren't really into it anymore. It's like, it's kind of the older guys thing. I hate to say it, and I'm included. But it's, the new guys are like, yeah, it's midnight, and they just want to play.
Right.
So they'll be like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year.
back into.
And you're like, wait, we have this whole thing.
We're going to
idea.
celebrate and do a thing. Yeah. I've heard different things with the change in management on the.
Well, and it's just the times, and the music and all of that. So hopefully it's not a lost, art. I think that we can carry that on moving forward because New Year's is an annual event.
Yeah.
And it does keep happening. The Masonic, the last few I did were for the Masonic. And, even if it's bringing a clock for them or we made a giant disco ball for Sleater Kinney, it's just fun.
Yeah.
Well, Hollywood just asked, did Prince have his foo-foo people overseeing his decor in your experience?
See, now, old Hollywood,
no.
are you trying to be naughty now? No, I'm not sure what foo-foo people mean, but I think he means the creative types in his group.
That would be me.
Yes.
But I would say no, because this was the weird thing. When he came to the Paramount, he let all of his crew go. And he showed up with just one person from Fairfield, who was his friend. This young lady who was probably scared jealous because she was like now in charge of Prince and then one security guy, and that was it. So there was the three of them. There was no team. There was no crew. So he went through something pretty heavy right before this passing. And that was probably why everybody was on high alert. Everybody was like, we need to make sure he's happy. We don't want to upset him. We want to make sure everything's perfect. So there was no foo-foo people, but I think I did a pretty good job. And we've done his room enough to understand what he wants.
Sure.
And the writers they make it so easy.
Yeah.
One thing I did when he came to Paramount, I read he wanted a bicycle. Well, I had that one day, remember? Because we found out on Friday and he had the show on Sunday. So I had to go to Kmart and buy a pink bicycle. And then I spray painted it purple, put purple fuzzy fenders on it. And it was a girl's bike. But I really tried. I got an A for effort. He was very happy and pleased. And I think that maybe that's why he came back to Oakland to sell out another show. But I don't know, maybe not. But then the promoter got him a male bike. So then we had both our bikes for his second show. And he rode the male bike on the purple carpet all the way to the stage and all the way back.
Yeah, he is Prince, and he
likes to ride a bike.
Yeah, he was actually an extraordinarily athletic guy. I knew there was some stuff in the air that was up with Prince, and of course his normal Prince, as you've worked with him, large entourage. Usually he does not roll
so it's
solo.
very unusual
so to hear that,
to show up with two people.
Yeah. I mean, his security alone used to be formative. And,
right.
And
something was going on.
And it's Prince. I get, he was down with keeping it safe. Okay, I have my lighting guy because he's crazy. Hi, Al. He's here in the building somewhere. He wanted me to ask you, what's the wackiest set design you've come up with?
What's the what?
His words. What's the wackiest set design you've come up with?
Okay. Well, that Mumford and Sons thing was pretty wacky because they asked me to get to know the town that they're going to play in. So I had like 6 months to do some research and do a themed backstage to the town, like whatever that town's known for. And the first stop was in Simcoe, Canada. And guess what that's known for? Tobacco. Virginia Slims.
Oh.
So I found some tobacco and decorated with real tobacco. That's kind of wacky, I think. And, that whole tour was kind of like that. Like, I really tried to take it seriously. And, and when it was for fishing as well, because it's off the Lake Erie. So, anyway, I guess that might be one of the wackiest. That whole tour was like that, though, everything.
Yeah.
The last stop was in St. Augustine, and, that place is just so beautiful. The history there is just fantastic.
Absolutely.
And we created there's one gentleman who's known throughout the whole town. His name's everywhere. And he's been dead for a long time. So I got an antique mirror and I scrubbed off the back of it and put his face in there. Wow. So you could just see him like a ghost in the mirror.
Wow, that's clever.
That was pretty cool. And we had a week to figure this out, even though I had done research before I got there, but we had 1 week to make all this stuff happen.
It sounds like you made some magic happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very, it's fascinating to me because I absolutely have almost no creative bone in my body. I'm 100% music. Just that's where I live.
That's awesome.
Well, but I couldn't, like, if I
That's
drew
pretty creative.
If I drew a stick man right now, you'd be like, what's that?
I can't draw it either, but
I'm
that's
an awful
the beauty
drawer.
of it.
There's something about it. So it's fascinating to me. That's a very clever thing with the mirror and the ghostly image of the town founder.
Yeah, it's like, how did I come up? I don't even remember how I came up with that, but it just was sort of the feeling too, because he was everywhere. Everybody talks about this guy.
Yeah.
He founded the city.
Okay, I've got one more for Mel.
Okay.
But it's different for Mel. We only let him have 2 at any given show. But he's got to budget him. He's a nut job. What's the biggest... Ow, what the fuck? All right. Okay.
Uh-oh.
What's the biggest thing you've ever dropped off the back of a golf cart?
Oh.
Alan Pettibone, everybody.
That's funny.
You mentioned earlier that you're trucking around on these big
Oh,
show sites with
yeah.
your cart, and
I've definitely-
delivering and dropping. I found this to be a very realistic question.
It is, but I'm so good at tying things down. I don't think I've dropped anything on them.
Al, she's perfect. Deal with that,
But
fella.
you know, they gave me
Deal
at
with that.
Bonnaroo, I finally graduated to
Troublemaker.
one of those larger gators, you know, like everybody
Yeah.
else gets a little golf cart, it's all me.
Yeah.
And then mine's all, whoa.
You got the gator.
And I got the big overhead thing and the big hatch in the back, and I don't lift much anymore either. I just drive it around,
Yeah.
and I make sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. And you know what I put in the back of mine? Waters and juice. Oh my gosh, my team would love me to tell you that we have Juice 30 every day, where we have somebody deliver fresh, squeezed hemp juice with fruits and vegetables and things that'll pep you up around 3:30, 4 o'clock. And we put those in the back, and then I drive around and give everybody a juice break.
Well, it sounds like you'd be a really good to work with and for.
Yeah, we got to take
You're
care
a
of the
good boss.
crew, because they're
Yeah.
the ones that make it all happen. And it grew quite a bit. I mean, I think with 1 year we reached 38 people on my team, and I just couldn't believe it, But then we'd also get like 50 volunteers, and
Wow.
it would be ginormous teams.
Yeah, that's a lot to manage. I mean, you obviously have some very good management skills.
Well, I'm always
organization,
learning.
administration.
Yeah, if you don't know, you got to learn quick,
Yeah.
because that's a big responsibility. It's
Yes,
a lot
ma'am.
of stuff to happen. It's not always easy.
Yeah, no, I do know that about your work. Yeah, you definitely keep busy. Listen, you've been doing this for a minute. I know you've been paying attention to the goings on lately, as it relates to the world we live in and all the shenanigans that are afoot. I'm curious what you think the future holds for our industry.
Wow. Well, I'm very positive about post-COVID. I do think that, we will get back to the way things were. We have to. And, maybe my department won't be as important in the beginning, but it will come back. Like I said, the psychology of how people spend their money and where they like to go for entertainment is true. They want to hear good music. They want to see good production. They want to see high-end stuff. I mean, that's what we're used to. I love this setup. This is so professional here. I think this is a huge bonus for the future, that we keep doing stuff like this, and informing and relating and getting to share with people. And I think it's great, because we didn't have this before. So this is like a whole new thing. It's really awesome. But I'm very positive about the future, and it's just going to take time. So we just have to, and you know what? Take advantage of that and learn more about yourself and do things for yourself.
Yeah.
I think that's a big takeaway from what's been going on.
That's good advice. It's
Yeah.
really good advice. Would it be premature of me to mention that you were considering maybe making a show in this very same space and having
Yeah.
us help you out with some of the technology, and you come in here and do some magic?
Yeah,
You said
I'm
something
really
about your desk would
interested.
look different than my desk. What's wrong with my desk?
Your desk looks awesome. I hope everybody can see what's on his desk, because it's quite a great collection of the tools of the trade.
Yes.
And it made me think about what my desk would have on it. I might have flowers and things and crystals, but I think this is pretty cool. And yeah, I do. Last year at this time, I started thinking about creating a streaming show, because I have high expectations and I want to do really big things. It's true. And I'm jealous of New York and LA. I'm jealous that they have a stage and stages to broadcast the talent and the ability of what they have. And the Bay Area is filled with so much talent that I want to have the same ability to share that with the world and create my own Saturday Night Live. I know that sounds crazy, but it would that's the big goal. To start that, I would like to get into my community and have a show that talks about wellness and how we can all take care of each other. And if we can add some art to that and some comedy and some live music, it would be kind of fun to do. Your brother George has been graciously to say maybe I could start something here, and because I think this is the perfect place. It's all set up. It looks fantastic. Production quality is great. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that later and see if maybe 2021 can start off with a new channel, a new show.
That would be very cool. I mean, there's the groundlings. There's this. This is something that has been done, can be done, and I wish you all the luck.
Thank you. Yeah, I want it to be. Once I get my certification on this training for yoga, I think I'll be able to speak better about it and maybe direct people who have issues with stuff. I've heard men talk about hernias, like, oh, I'm susceptible to it. It's like there's a simple thing you could do on the floor to just every day to help yourself, to build up your body. There's so many things that we could learn from this. It's crazy. So I want to share all that and put a spotlight on the talent in the Bay Area, very similar to what you're doing. But so we're going to have to blend all this and make it beautiful.
We would love to assist you in such an effort.
Yay!
We have the tools, and our little show I think is proof of concept, and we've done some concerts, and we've got the big benefit coming up, which you're a big part of.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, we're super looking forward to it. It's all happening, as they say. We really appreciate you coming on the show, explaining what you do. You do it so well. It's a pleasure to be in the business with you, and be around such an amazing, creative, imaginative professional as yourself. We appreciate you coming out and being on our show this
Thank
evening.
you, Vince.
You bet.
Thank you. Thank you,
dear.
Kyle.
Yeah, thanks for coming on the show. It's
Well,
great hearing your side of the industry. It's such an unsaid part of it.
I know, it's really funny. I take pictures of things and show people, and they're like, yeah, so what'd you do? I'm like, it was an empty tent before.
Yeah.
They don't even know. Like, people just don't know what we do.
You got to do the before and after on that one for
You
sure.
really do.
because
I
it
learned
is
so many times. You know how many
yeah.
before pictures I have on my phone?
Yeah, it's so nice.
It's just.
Empty tent.
Yeah.
And then the fun part is you take it down at the end of the night, and the tent goes away, and you got no picture.
Yeah.
You have to really be quick.
Yeah.
Not be so busy. You have to take a lot of pictures.
It's important. It's
Yeah.
important. Thanks again. Young man, so we're working on our dear brother, Mikey Brown, in the background, came up with a new ending for us. You guys have seen the show. We've done this 30 times. And a lot of love. What do we got? Deborah St. John. Oh, I think some of your friends have checked in. It looks like Hazel Costello. Is that, I probably spelled
Yeah,
said that
Hazel. Hi, Hazel.
Hi, Hazel. Thank you for turning in. And our good friend, Pat O'Doul. Yeah, thanks for coming over tonight, guys. We appreciate you coming out. We really appreciate our guest. I was mentioning that Mikey had come up with a, we do at the end of we thank.
That's a lot.
Yeah, Hollywood. That's fun. There's lots of good stuff on there. It looks like Crew Music Asia checked in. Hi, Clint. He's getting his Thursday therapy.
He wants to. I need to see Vince's version of the Downward Dog, and I said that's on our Patreon account. So.
You can pay extra for that, Clint. I'll tell you what. Not just doing that stuff, you sick bastard.
We got to do some roadie yoga.
Yeah. We've come up with a different end we're going to try out for the show. Usually I thank Sound Image and different vendors that help us get this done. LSV, slowfiber.com. Instead, he's going to roll some credits this time. We're going to try that out. Let's see what it looks like. But before we get to that, next week's guest is the one and only Jason Anselmo Martinez. Now, this guy is a badass. He's a singer for a band called The Infirmities. He's a graphic designer. He's really a one of a kind. He's toured, Europe and South America with his band. Mm-hmm. They are the modern punk rock, Black Flag equivalent of what I came up with today. Been a big fan of these guys. They tour with some of the biggest punk bands in the world.
This band is badass.
Yeah, they kill it, right? And they go out with Bad Brains and the DKs, and if it's a large, the Exploited, you name it, they do it. So we're gonna have him come in and tell us what's up, what's the latest. He's a hell of a family man and a great friend. That's next week, Thursday at 7 p.m. Until then, we sure appreciate you guys coming out. Be safe, be good to each other. We'll see you next week. Thank you.